Hello, Internet, and thank you very much for tuning into the Cloud Native FM podcast. And today we are covering on a short video series named Cloud Native Wisdom. And OpenAI has completed its recapitalization. The non-profit is now called the OpenAI Foundation. Big changes to the relationship between OpenAI and Microsoft. We finally get to see the ownership number. And as I'm reading this out, I will quote here Microsoft holds an investment in OpenAI Group PBC valued at approximately 135 billion, representing roughly 37% on an as converted diluted basis, inclusive for all owners, employers, investor, and the OpenAI Foundation. Excluding the impact of the OpenAI's recent funding rounds, Microsoft held a 32.5% stake on as converted basis in the OpenAI for profit. So here's the things I really need to dig deeper with Richard Simon on this wisdom episode. So the full list of changes are once AGI augmented or AGI once AGI is declared by OpenAI, that declaration will now be verified by an independent expert panel. Microsoft IP right for both model and products are extending through 2032 and now includes model post AGI with appropriate safety guardrails. Microsoft IP right to research defined as the confidential method used in the development of model and system will remain until the expert panel verifies AGI or through 2030, which is the case here. So research IP include, for example, model intended for internal deployment for or research only. Beyond that, research IP does not include model architecture, model weight, inference code, fine tuning code, or any IP related data center hardware and software. And Microsoft retained these known research IP right. Now, with this mean, Microsoft IP rights now exclude OpenAI consumer hardware. On the other hand, OpenAI can now jointly develop some product with third parties. API products developed with third parties will be exclusive to Azure. Non-API product may be served on any cloud provider. So that's the big news here. Microsoft, on the other hand, can now independently pursue AGI alone or in partnership with the third parties. The revenue share agreement remains until the expert panel verifies the AGI through payment will be made over a longer period of time. OpenAI has contracted to purchase an incremental, this is massive, $250 billion of services from Azure. And Microsoft will no longer have a right of first refusal to OpenAI compute provider. So OpenAI can now provide API access to US government, national security customers, and regardless of any cloud provider they choose. And the big news, I will see how the OpenAI Foundation will be heading or steering this. OpenAI is now able to release open weight model that meet requisite capability criteria. So sorry for a very long assessment of this news. And Richard behind the scene is waiting for his return. So Richard, sorry, but that's all the news. So tell me now we have OpenAI, Microsoft, and plus OpenAI Foundation. Where are we heading with it?
Yeah, so I mean, it's certainly a interesting move. I think Sam Altman has kind of wanted to do this for some time. I suspect it's not an overnight decision that OpenAI has taken, but obviously with his leadership, they've kind of followed that sort of profit sort of target really and goal that they wanted to achieve with OpenAI. I think it was only a matter of time, considering how the value of what OpenAI is doing with ChatGPT and so on. It was going to be very difficult for them to remain a non-profit and promise to kind of share everything out with the world. Not that they've actually open sourced a lot of their Gen AI code. Anyway, And I suspect actually that will still continue for a while. I don't really see. I mean, they will make some gestures just to kind of keep the communities happy every now and then, but I'm not holding my breath in terms of them, open sourcing all of their models, or indeed, making their weights open weights and what have you as well. So I'm not really. I think the current model will continue, especially when you consider now that the shackles have been broken and they are for profit. They have become a for-profit company. A lot of the investors that were scared from the hybrid model that they had previously, this should actually enable them to go. Now that they're a public company, they can actually go and raise billions more and be more free to be able to do that. Now, all of that sort of capability, as you rightly said, comes at a price for them. Microsoft is still holding certain keys in their hands when it comes to OpenAI. So things like their IP, the cloud infrastructure, as we said with Azure, and a governance structure as well, as we said with things like AGI, as you correctly mentioned. So I was looking at some of the, obviously there's a ton of posts on this again on LinkedIn. Everybody's got their opinion on it. But a particular one from a chap called Linus Balunas, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, was quite interesting. And he actually put it very positively as a win for Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft. So he said, and I quote, Satya Nadella did it again. OpenAI became a for-profit company while Microsoft just pulled off one of the smartest deals in tech history, close quote. So that was his kind of initial take on it. And yeah, as you said, certainly, things like AGI will be verified by an independent board. And essentially, that may not be, something that OpenAI can do anymore. They may not even have a say in it anymore. I don't know. We'll see how this kind of all plays out, over the next sort of months and years. And again, because AGI, and I'm glad actually this is corroborating some of the reports that I've picked up on as well recently from Deloitte and KPMG and various other ones, which are actually featured on Cloud State of Play. A lot of them put ASI and AGI out by 10 plus years. So they were all predicting in the 2030s and 2040s. And I think that's kind of, is being corroborated here by this news and the mention of the 2030s for things like AGI. Obviously, the profits will continue for Microsoft. Yeah, I think this is all very important for Microsoft. I picked up on, as far as the restructure was concerned, the value of OpenAI has now gone up to $500 billion. So that's the value, the market value or market cap of OpenAI as part of the restructure. 20% stake is worth $135 billion for Microsoft. So that's the value that they hold of OpenAI. As you said, $250 billion of guaranteed Azure revenue. So anything that really OpenAI does is just third parties or whatever in the future will be part of that. Obviously, apart from anything that's in Stargate, because they're doing that with Oracle and SoftBank and so on. But anything sort of outside of that will be there's a guaranteed $250 billion value, or up to $250 billion value maybe for Azure infrastructure. Yeah, and as we said, the rights still remain. Microsoft has full access to those up until AGI or the 2030s are reached. So whichever one's kind of maybe comes first. I think there'll be a lot more coming out on this. This is kind of just the first sort of bits of news, and the analysis will definitely get deeper as we go forward in the future. But definitely, bottom line, definitely a win for Microsoft.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. And I think for the interesting part here is, like, now we can expect there's a foundation. Can people from outside of the OpenAI who are really charismatic can want to contribute into the AI ecosystem? Would they, as an outsider, have some play in the OpenAI Foundation, or is still going to be a lot tougher for the open source community to get into it as well? So those are really the key point we need to take into the consideration moving forward, because when the foundation come up, there's pattern, practices, principle, standard, procedures, protocol are shaping up in the AI, and some people will say we need those, we literally need those, because AI is getting out of control. Will those standard in place, or OpenAI Foundation make sure things are going in a right direction without actually being so much compromises on the security side of the things as well? But in the news like this makes Microsoft happy and makes Nvidia happy, because as I'm recording this, they have the first company. I think we need to check is they break the history or they create the history of reaching the $5 trillion company. So Nvidia, whatever people have been doing, you are at the end of the day makes your job, your day is becoming more better and better every day passes by. So with that, we will meet again with another Cloud Native Wisdom series. And if you have some stories around OpenAI Foundation, please link them. Or if you're part of the OpenAI Foundation, please join us, because we love to talk with you about those topics, because we're really interesting to get some people involved here. Have a wonderful day. Stay